Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to do coconut macaroons. Probably going to be the easiest thing on this channel that we make. It's only 3 ingredients, super quick and easy. It's also gluten-free. I love to have this one in my back pocket. I throw my coconut macaroons out quite often. I mean out in the case, not out in the trash. And yeah, people go pretty ape shit for them. So we can drizzle some chocolate on them. We can make them all fancy. And let's just hop in it. First thing I'm going to mention, I like to make them a little bit smaller. You can use a blue scoop. Blue scoop's like a 2-ounce scoop, right? But I prefer the red 1 3/4, I believe it is, 1 1/3, or the purple, which is 3/4 ounce. I find if you make them any bigger than the 2-ounce blue scoops, they take too long to bake and get too dark on the outside prior to cooking their center, because we do have to bake them frozen. Always, the recipe will be below. I'm gonna put it on Etsy for $1, get a bunch of traction every time I sell one, so that'd be cool. Otherwise, it'll be free as always. Subscribe, like, suggest what you would like to see next, and we're gonna jump in it. If you're in a shop aspect, I really like buying the shredded sweetened coconut from Cisco. Can't really find exactly that, so it's going to be the flakes, right, that I found at the store. Okay. One of the most important things, you're going to need a really clean bowl. No joke, probably just go rinse it out, go wash it. If there's any like fat content or anything in here when we're whipping up our egg whites, it's not gonna whip up properly. Same thing as when we are separating our eggs. If we get any yolk in there, we got to get it out. And all you do there, a little tip, is after you crack your egg and you got the eggshell, you can like scoop that little bit of egg yolk out of there. You don't have to throw it all away. Okay, I'm gonna be making a really small version of this. Well, small I say here. Normally I bang out like 500-700 of them at work, and they freeze pretty much indefinitely, and just pull them as needed. So we're gonna do a smaller recipe here, obviously. Okay, so we need 200 grams of egg whites. Okay, one of the biggest things for whipping up egg whites, right, is to make sure that we don't get any fat content in here, as in like yolk, right? Because then it'll never whip. It'll take forever. So quick little tip is if you get just like a little dash in there instead of like throwing away all the egg white, right? Just use half of a broken egg and just go ahead and scoop it out here like this. So something even that small, that little bit of yolk will ruin this. So all we want to do is just go ahead and take a shell, and just scoop it on out. Okay, so it's pretty much equal part egg white and sugar, so no matter what kind of batch you make. So normally like on the slope or wherever I'm working, I'll do like a 600 to 600 and like 1800 grams of coconut. But you want to do just a little bit more sugar than your egg white, right? So like here, I don't have exactly 200 grams, which is fine. I got 223. So here I'm going to put just a hair over sugar. And I find that when you put just a little bit more sugar in it, it helps hold that stiff peak when we go and fold in all of our coconut. So for my 220, I'm going to put 230 grams of sugar in there, just a little bit over. So like for a big batch at work, when I do 600 grams of whites, I normally do like 630 grams of sugar. So like just a little bit over. Sweet, so that's 230 grams to my 223 grams of egg whites. Perfect. Now, I know some people are going to be like, oh, I normally double boil it to break down the sugar, and I used to do that, but I find now, like when you just over whip it into a stiff peak, it actually comes out a little bit fluffier than dense when I used to double boil it. So now I don't. So all we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and whip it until it's a stiff peak, slightly over whipped, and I'll show you here now. If you don't have a KitchenAid, you can always use a hand mixer and just beat the living egg white out of it. Okay, this would be more of a soft peak. As you can see, it falls over, right? We want this like a really stiff, almost overbeat peak. So we're gonna let this go for a little bit longer. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Really nice stiff peaks. See that? It's not falling over. I can wiggle it a little bit. Still stands tall. Nice. Okay, so now that it's at a stiff peak, really nice meringue, right? Still holding tall. Okay, so normally for this, it would be about 550 grams of coconut, but it's more to feel, right? Because we want more coconut to our meringue to hold up. Now, that might sound confusing, but I promise you, as you add it and fold it in, and the consistency of it, it'll totally make sense once you do it. But I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through it right now, and we'll put the camera on it and see it. Okay, now there's 550. Now as I fold it in, you're gonna see. Okay, you see this? See how it's just too much egg white to this. You see this is just too wet, so we need to add a lot more coconut. So you see how it's starting to thicken up there, right? See how it's not like falling back over and it's holding it? That's more what we're looking for. It's still a little wet. I might add a little bit more. Okay, see how this is nice and thick now? This is exactly what we're looking for right here. Okay, forgive me, that was like way closer to 800 than 550. Like I said, when I normally make this in big, large batches, we buy a 25-pound box of shredded coconut from Cisco, and I just grab big handfuls and throw it in there and just mix it because I got a big 20-quart bowl, 30-quart bowl, right? Okay, now what we got to do is scoop it and let it freeze. I find normally it needs to freeze overnight, but just at least until it's like rock hard. So probably overnight. Don't get too tempted. Okay, so last thing here, when we scoop them, this is really important. Right, so you can't just like scoop like a normal cookie and press it against, because when we go, it's going to be like too uncompact and not tight, and then when we bake it, it's going to fall apart, right? So like that does not like look good. So what we got to do, right, is when we scoop them, you over scoop it, and then with your palm push it in, and then I'll scoop this like the side bits on top, and then push it back in and really pack it in, right? So now we got a nice formed coconut macaroon versus like one that's gonna fall apart and look like gross. So, right? So scoop, way over scoop, compact, compact. There you go. Okay, yeah, that's it. We got about 31 of them. It took us less than 20 minutes to throw this together. These will freeze like, I don't want to say indefinitely, but normally I'd bang out like 700, 800 of these, and then just once a month, just one day, knock them all out, and then freeze them for like 4 or 5 weeks and just pull as needed. So I'm going to go pop these in the freezer, and once they're completely frozen, we'll bake them off, and we'll see the finished product. Okay, I let these freeze overnight. Now I've preheated my oven to 300. We want to bake this at a low temp until they're nice dark brown. and bake as many as you want. They hold for about 2 or 3 days after being baked pretty well. And whatever you don't use, just pop back in the freezer. So I'm gonna go ahead and bake off 8 of them. I'm gonna start with 15, but they're probably gonna take about like 22 minutes. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. They still need like another 7 to 10. Remember, every oven's different, but you'll see the end product and we'll go with that. But yeah, roughly 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so these took a lot longer than I've ever had to bake them before. I've never not made them in like an industrial convection oven. But yeah, this is what we're looking for. Nice and toasted on top, as you can see, and on bottom as well. So if you'd like, you can top them with chocolate. That's what I'm going to do. Let them cool all the way first. And if I was to do like a big large batch, when I bake off like 100 of them at a time, I'll take the time to temper some chocolate. But what you can do is just take a pastry bag, fill it with some chocolate, and put it in the microwave in intervals. Put it in intervals of 10 seconds, because if you put it for too long, right, the chocolate will bloom and burn. So, and you don't want that, obviously. So, yeah. So that's what we're looking for. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, follow all the YouTube things, and enjoy your gluten-free coconut macaroons. So like I said, melt your chocolate on 10-second intervals in the microwave. And then I like to just take off just a little tad bit instead of a big amount. I feel like the smaller it is, the more like fancy it looks, right? So here we go. And there you are. Enjoy.